Okay, good afternoon, students. Today we are learning how to multiply integers. This is Big Ideas, lesson 1.4. Follow along with me in your red textbooks, beginning on page 24. Make sure you take notes in your math notebook or on a piece of paper to get credit. Okay, now this is our key idea, and I need you to copy this down. When you're multiplying integers with the same sign, for example, you have two positive numbers and two negative numbers. When both of the numbers have the same sign, your answer is always positive. So 2 times 3 equals positive 6. Negative 2 times negative 3 equals positive 6 because they have the same sign. Now, when you're multiplying integers that have different signs, then your answer will be negative. For example, 2 times negative 3 equals negative 6. Negative 2 times positive 3 equals negative 6. So when they have different signs, your answer is negative. Please pause the video and record this in your notes. Okay, let's continue on with example 1. This is also found on page 24 in your books, and we need to find negative 5 times negative 6. Now, looking at both of the integers, they have the same sign. When they have the same sign, our answer is positive. So our product will be positive. Please write this down with me. So negative 5 times negative 6, 5 times 6 is 30. Since they have the same sign, our product is positive 30. Very simple. Okay, let's continue on to example 2. Please write this down with me. This is also on page 24. You have A and B. Let's look at A first. You have positive 3 times negative 4. In this case, you have a positive times a negative, so they have different signs. And when they have different signs, our product will be negative. So 3 times negative 4. 3 times 4 is 12, and since they have different signs, our product is negative 12. Let's go on to B. Negative 7 times positive 4. They have different signs, so our answer will be negative 28. Since 7 times 4 is 28, and they have different signs, so it's negative. Okay, let's go on. On this next slide, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to work out numbers 1 through 8 on your own. Write down all your answers and solve. Now, if you take a look at number 7, let me move this out. You have a negative number times a negative number times 0. Work from left to right. Here you have a negative number on number 8, negative 7 times negative 5. Multiply that first, and then continue on to multiply times negative 4. Okay, go ahead and show your work to get credit. Okay, let's move on to example 3. This is on page 25, and now it says evaluate. Evaluate is another word for solve. Negative 2 squared. Now this little 2 that you see up here is called an exponent. And an exponent tells you how many times you have to multiply. So here we have negative 2, and it wants us to multiply negative 2 2 times. So it's negative 2 times negative 2. I prefer to put parentheses around it to separate my signs. Well, I know 2 times 2 equals 4, and since they have the same sign, they're both negative, my answer is positive 4. Now let's look at B. Negative 5 squared. That means I have negative 5 times negative 5. I multiply negative 5 2 times. 5 times 5 is 25. And since they have the same sign, My answer is positive. Now let's look at C. You have negative 4 to the power of 3, or negative 4 cubed. This means you're going to multiply negative 4 3 times. You have negative 4, that's once, times negative 4, that's twice, times negative 4, that's 3 times. Now I'm going to work from left to right. Negative 4 times negative 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And they were both negative since they have the same sign. Our answer is positive 16. Now, positive 16 times negative 4. 16 times 4 is 64. But this time, one is positive and one is negative. They have different signs. So our answer is negative. Make sure you write these examples down. And let's continue on to our next slide. I would like you to complete the on your own and show your work for credit. Please pause the video to do numbers 9 through 12 now. Okay, our last example for today is example 4 on page 25. It says the bar graph here shows the number of taxis a company has in service. The number of taxis has decreased by the same amount each year for 4 years. Find the total change in the number of taxis. Well, if you look at the bar graph, every year, after 1 year, it went down 50 fewer taxis. So it's minus 50 here, minus 50 again, minus 50 again, and minus 50 once more. So we're repeatedly decreasing by 50 taxis every year. So we have negative 50 for the decrease. And that happened 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So it's negative 50 times 4. 50 times 4 is 200. But since they have different signs, our answer is negative 200. So to answer the question, find the total change in the number of taxis. The taxis decreased by 200. And since it's a word problem, I like to explain my answer in words. Since it decreased by 200, this decrease is another way of writing negative 200. All right, for the next slide, please complete number 13 and show your work. It says a manatee population decreases by 15 manatees each year for 3 years. Now a decrease will mean it's going down, so it's going to be negative. Negative 15 for 3 years. Go ahead and pause the video to work that out. So tomorrow I'm going to be checking your 1.4 video notes. You need to complete your 10 marks lessons that are due for November 13th. Make sure you bring your charged Chromebook and your record and practice journal. Have a great evening, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.